You ever have that feeling that something is just off? You know? Like a kind of low-grade fever deep in your soul that nothing seems to touch? Not success, not entertainment, not comfort. Well, the text we're diving into today says that's not just a feeling. It's a fundamental symptom of the human condition. But we're not talking about a physical illness here. We're talking about a spiritual one, a fundamental disconnect from who we really are. The source we're exploring, a classic of Vedic literature, actually diagnoses this universal anxiety, this dissatisfaction as a type of fever, and, most importantly, it offers a very specific prescription to cure it. So, to really get this diagnosis, you have to ask, what does perfect health even look like? The text gives us this incredible picture of a world in total balance, a society totally free from the fevers that plague us. And then it contrasts it with a world that looks, well, a whole lot like our own. And the contrast the text paints here is, well, it's stunning. On one side, you've got King Yudhishthira's rule. Krishna is present, and there's so much harmony that things like anxiety and disease just don't exist. Nature itself is just providing everything everyone needs. But then, the second that connection is threatened, the moment Krishna even prepares to leave, it all falls apart. The seasons get chaotic, and people are suddenly driven by greed and lies. The diagnosis couldn't be more clear. This fever starts the very instant our connection to our spiritual source is severed. And listen, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. This quote comes from the great warrior Arjuna. Right after Krishna has left, you can just feel the pain in his words. He says, the world feels dead, unfavorable, totally stripped of its meaning. It's such a personal, powerful lament that really captures the essence of this spiritual sickness. That feeling of living in a dead world, a body without a soul. Okay, so if the diagnosis is spiritual separation, why don't our usual fixes work? Why does chasing after more money, more power, or even just trying to figure it all out intellectually leave us feeling so empty? The text says it's because we're treating the symptoms, not the actual disease. It's a classic case of misdiagnosis. The reason for this massive misdiagnosis is a concept called Maya. You can think of it like a bewildering energy, a kind of fog that makes us mistake the temporary material world for the real deal. It's so powerful, the text says, that even great philosophers become bewildered by it. They're trying to use these limited, material tools to grasp something that's totally divine. It's the fog that keeps us from seeing the real cause of our fever. And here's the crazy part. The text gives us this guy, King Kamsa, a total tyrant, described as envious and sinful, and he gives this perfect little lecture on the nature of the soul. I mean, he's technically right. The soul is different from the body, but his understanding is completely hollow. His knowledge is just another tool for his own delusion. He's a spiritually sick man offering a perfectly flawed diagnosis, which just proves that intellectual knowledge alone, without any real connection, is just another symptom of the fever. And it's not just about philosophy either. Take Indra, the king of the heavens. The text says he becomes intoxicated by opulence. All his power doesn't bring him peace. It just puffs him up with arrogance and anger. It just hammers home the point that material solutions, whether they're intellectual or financial, they aren't the cure. In fact, they can make the sickness even worse. All right, so if the problem is spiritual, and all our material cures are just misdiagnoses that keep failing, then what is the real remedy? What medicine does this ancient text actually offer for this fever of the soul? The prescription is called Krishna Katha Amritam. Now let's break that beautiful phrase down. Katha means topics or stories, and Amrita means immortal nectar. So the remedy is literally the immortal nectar of hearing and speaking about the divine. It's not a pill you take or some procedure you undergo. It's an act of consciousness. It's about redirecting our attention back to our spiritual source. And check this out. Think about how powerful this medicine is. The text says it doesn't just heal one person, it purifies 3 groups all at once. The person who speaks about it, the person who inquisitively asks about it, and everyone who just listens. It's a shared healing process. It's like this current that cleanses everyone and everything it touches. The great warrior Bhishma, literally on his deathbed, makes this all incredibly practical. He lays it out like a 3-step prescription. Step 1, focus your mind. Meditate on the divine with devout attention. Step 2, focus your words. Continuously chant the holy names. And what's the result when you align your mind and your speech like that? Step 3, complete release, complete liberation, when you leave the body. It takes this remedy from a big idea to a clear, actionable spiritual practice. So you see, taking this medicine, it completely changes the definition of what it even means to be healthy. The goal isn't a life with 0 problems. I mean, that's impossible in this world. The goal is to get to a state of consciousness where those problems just don't have power over you anymore. And this is where things get really, really fascinating. The text says that any strong emotion, if it's constantly directed toward the divine, can lead to absorption. We're talking lust, anger, fear, things we usually think of as negative, but they can actually become pathways to liberation if they are focused intensely and exclusively on Krishna. So it's not the emotion that matters. It's the object of the emotion. It's all about total, unwavering focus. And you can really see how this spiritual cure just flips your whole value system on its head. On the left, you've got the materially afflicted person, constantly anxious about my stuff, my family, my house. Their whole world is I and mine. But on the right, you see the spiritually healthy person. For them, poverty is seen as freedom from false ego. Whatever just happens to come their way is accepted as a spiritual practice. That fever of anxiety is finally broken by a deep, profound sense of detachment. And this, right here, is what that fully cured state looks like. King Musakunda is offered any boon he could possibly imagine, anything in the whole universe. And he asks for only one thing, to be able to serve. He gets it. He realizes that any other desire, even a desire for his own liberation, is just another trop. This is the ultimate sign that the fever has broken. It's a state where the only desire left is to love and to serve, with 0 thought of what's in it for you. So we're left with this one big, profound thought. What if we've been defining health all wrong? Maybe it isn't about getting rid of all of life's pains and problems. Maybe true well-being is about cultivating a connection, a love so powerful and so all-consuming that it simply burns brighter than any fever this world can possibly throw at us.